I've been ordained to offer exclusively the traditional Latin Mass,
the conditions under which people are living.
I really tried to distance myself from religious life.
It's just my desire to be a catechist.
Go back to reality and see what's on our table. It's quite depressing.
My mission is to work with young people in Zimbabwe in Jesuit ministries, like as the chaplain for the students here in Harare, but also coordinating chaplaincy activities for the whole of Zimbabwe with NMCS. I'm the national chaplain, while I also work with chaplaincies here in Harare. I also coordinate work among other groups that work with Jesuits. Mugozhi Zimbabwe is one of them. I'm also the national chaplain for ZYCS, Zimbabwean Christian Students, which works with university students, but mainly with students in high schools here in Harare, in the Archdiocese of Harare, and in Masvingo and Gweru diocese. I work with Tamba Africa as part of the team that I lead, and also Young People for Others. So these are the groups that we mainly work with, and idea behind all these groups is to spread Ignatian spirituality and to work with them so that they can get a future and full realization of their potential. I got my mission just before I got ordained deacon. I was still doing my theological studies in Brazil. And during that time, I came back to Zimbabwe in December and then did the handover with the previous priest who was there, Father Isaac. I think it was a privileged moment to work as a deacon, work that is previously done by an ordained minister. There's not much difference because the amount of work is still the same, but maybe now I can do more of the sacraments that I could not perform then. Like I can now preside over the Eucharist, I can now baptize, which I could do as deacon. But it's mainly now the engagement that I have with more sacraments, like the sacrament of the penitential one, a sacrament of reconciliation. Being an ordained minister has also opened up, I think the way our church is structured here in Zimbabwe is that we feel like certain things are discussed with an ordained minister and others we can't do with a deacon. So I found that now I find myself having to discuss many other issues, like in spiritual direction, that were previously not done. In terms of engagement with the young people, I feel like after ordination, nothing much changes. The way we relate remains the same. Actually, we should grow a deeper relationship because of that. So there's not much change in terms of the work, but I think the sacramental aspect is what really changed. Being around young people makes you young because you have to adopt the type of engagement that they have, and also just making them see alternative possibilities that are there. I think that are there besides maybe church only or school, but opening up horizons for them to explore. Those are some of the joys. The greater part of the joy comes in just knowing that there's a future that we have, and the present, again, is also something that is important for them. I think the interesting thing is this thing of AMA 2000 and people thinking that they are a lost cause in a way. But I've always told them that they should embrace being the AMA 2000 because this is the most privileged moment for them, a moment of kairos for them, that we avoid living in the nostalgia of the past. The challenges we face is that I think the church is not yet ready to fully embrace youth ministry as a full ministry on its own. The church doesn't invest financially in youth. The church doesn't invest in people, animators of youth activities. And the church doesn't give an eye to youth as a body that can make decisions for itself. What I've noticed of late is that the church looks at it as an intermediary phase, which people are floating. They are not really being given chances to. The investment in youth is very little, whether be it in education, formal education, or in youth ministry, in parishes or in chaplaincies, things like that. I think that is the greatest challenge, personnel and financial. In terms of the challenges of working with the youth themselves, I think most of what we face are age-related or specific issues. Like most of them experiment with alcohol. And I think while it's not a good thing to do, but I think it's a stage where they're experimenting with their bodies, with what they drink, what they eat, with ideas that they have. And for me, that's a privileged moment if they can do it in the church and then get help in the church. We need to listen more to the youth so that youth themselves become agents of their ministry. They become protagonists of what they do, rather than coming with impositions or just letting us determine what happens to them or thinking about what's good for them. The young people are at a stage, if they're in university, they're at a stage where they are choosing career path, life paths, and especially partners that is friends, boyfriends, girlfriends, and all that. That idea of choosing and how to choose, how to discern which ways to go or with who to go and how to go about it, that is one of the greatest challenges. Another challenge that is prevalent these days is the issue of how broken our families are and the inability to make sense of what family really is. Because now we have a supra-family idea and people don't know how to relate or how to navigate that space. Either you grew up without your father, or you grew up without your mother, or you grew up with your grandfather or your grandmother. And now, how do you navigate that space in terms of building yourself as an individual? And that creates a sort of traumas in young people that sometimes if they don't realize it, it leads to other problems. Youth ministry is a ministry of presence, whether by the guardians or by us, the ordained ministers in the church. What we need to do is to be present. Be there when things are happening. Be there when they need to listen, when they need to speak to them. Be there, just be there, be present for them. Work is tight, we have to do a lot of things to get money. But I think for parents, it's important that we spend time with our children, be interested in what they do, be interested in what they want. If they like sport, be with them in sport. If they like academics, be with them there. So those are the two things. We need to listen and we need to be present. And at this moment in time, these are the people who show us that we can build a better future, living the best way in the present. So there is hope. There is hope always that tomorrow is a better day. There are a lot of challenges we are facing, like unemployment, like the issue of drugs that I was talking about. But there is glimmers of hope in most people. The talents that they exhibit, the experiments that they make with computers, with drawing, with art, with sport. There is a lot of hope there. And I think we should tap into that hope and also maybe use that hope that young people have to evangelize us as the ordained ministers in the church and also the people who work with young people. Well, it's like a fruit salad, a bowl of fruit salad. Some people are skeptical. Some are really geared towards going to vote. Some have actually totally given up on the idea of elections, especially here in Zimbabwe. But we, as a ministry, have been trying to advocate for civic leadership among the youth. that they take charge of the voting space, they take charge of the present, because then it determines who they are in the future. So I believe that civic leadership is something that young people are really interested in, but we need to find ways of encouraging them to participate and to be interested in things that affect them. That's why, as in the chaplaincy, as a National Movement of Catholic Students, we've always been running towards the elections with the theme Pray, Register, Vote. As a way of saying pray as in discernment, then register and actually vote. We might add another one to say, and then defend your vote, whoever you vote for. That's one. And we're also looking at another theme to say pray, run, and vote, in the sense that it's no longer a moment for us as young people to just wait to vote for other people. But if we can have people within the church vying for some of these posts at UZ or at NAST, at MSU, I think that can be a moment of great change, because young people get a chance to actually lead other young people. So running in this case is something that we're encouraging a lot in the various constituencies that we are in, either as a councillor, as an MP, or maybe even as presidents. Magis 2023 is on. In July next year, we are going to Lisbon to work with the young people and to do the experience, the Magis experience. The preparations are ongoing. We've opened up our registration, which we are about to close. So the next stage now is to journey with the pilgrims. I'd like to call them pilgrims. Now, as we prepare them for the various experiments that they are going to be doing when they get to Lisbon. So we're going to have a 5-month program. Each month, we're going to be doing something to help people spiritually, the pilgrims spiritually, physically, and to create friends among themselves as they go out. Beyond that, we're also looking at creating friendships for people that can last a longer period. As you know, Magis is based on 3 main pillars, which would be service, companionship, and spirituality. So these are the 3 main focus areas that we are focusing on. Building friendships through companionships, learning how to pray and how to assimilate Ignatian spirituality, and service. So we're going to do a lot of service projects here in Zimbabwe before we go. And while we are there, those 2 weeks of experiments are going to be mainly service, working with the poor, the marginalized, and those who need us. And also looking at ecology as one of the marginalized areas in our lives at the moment. So that's one of our key focus areas as well as we go forward. So I want to encourage young people to register either with the diocese, with us as Magis, and to take this whole experience as a pilgrimage towards self-discovery and towards entering the church with a fuller participation. My last words to all the young people out there are that, guys, this is the time. You are the now of God, and it is now time to rise and to be the people that God is calling us to be. There's no greater time than now to be whom we want to be. So take the challenge, embrace it, and take the opportunity to develop yourselves, to explore the various talents that you have. There's a lot of greatness inside of us. Let us help each other to develop those. Thank you. All the best in your lives.